The person you love just lost control after seeing this in you. My beloved child, something changed inside the person you love the moment they noticed this in you, and it was so unexpected that they could no longer pretend their feelings were ordinary. Don't skip, because what they saw was not your appearance, not something you said, and not something you deliberately tried to prove. It was the quiet strength you carried when you could have chased them, questioned them, or tried to force an answer, but you didn't. You remained calm. You protected your dignity. You continued becoming stronger without demanding their attention. And that shook them emotionally, because suddenly they saw a version of you they had never fully understood before. They realized you were capable of loving deeply without losing yourself. That realization stayed in their mind long after the moment passed. Something huge is waiting for you, because this was only the first thing they noticed. There was another detail, something much smaller, that made their feelings impossible to ignore. Here is where everything becomes surprising. The person you love started remembering moments they had previously overlooked, the way you listened when nobody else truly listened, the patience you showed when things felt uncertain, and the warmth you carried without asking for anything in return. But now those memories felt completely different. Stay till the end, because one memory stood above all the others. They remembered a moment when you could have walked away emotionally, yet instead of becoming cold, you remained genuine. That was when the truth hit them, what they had been searching for in other people was already present in you. And suddenly, the little things about you became impossible to forget. Your presence. Your silence. Your confidence. Even the way you stopped trying to convince anyone of your worth. Don't skip, because the strongest revelation came when they asked themselves one private question: what if I lose the chance to tell this person what they truly mean to me? That question changed the entire emotional atmosphere. And this is why the title of this message matters. The person you love just lost control of the emotional walls they had carefully built after seeing something powerful in you. You were no longer waiting for someone else to recognize your value before recognizing it yourself. That confidence made them see you differently. Something huge is waiting for you, because their next realization went even deeper. They began imagining what life would feel like if you were no longer emotionally close to them, and for the first time, that possibility felt painfully real. They understood that your connection was not something they could keep placing on hold forever. But there is one part they still haven't said aloud, and it explains why their feelings became so intense so suddenly. Stay till the end of this journey, because what they recognized in you next was not simply attraction, admiration, or curiosity. It was something they had quietly wanted for a very long time, and once they recognized it in you, they could never look at you the same way again. There is something they have been trying to hide even from themselves, and now it is becoming impossible to ignore. The person you love did not expect your energy to affect them this deeply. They thought they understood you. They thought they could predict how you would react, how long you would wait, and how much attention you would continue giving them. But then you surprised them. You became quieter without becoming bitter. You became stronger without becoming distant. You stopped needing constant reassurance, and that single change completely shifted the way they saw you. Don't skip, because this is where the real revelation begins. They suddenly noticed that your heart carries something rare. You can care deeply while still respecting yourself. And when they recognized that, something inside them changed. They began wondering why your absence suddenly felt louder than your presence ever had. Why did they notice when you were quiet? Why did ordinary moments remind them of you? Why did your name suddenly carry more emotional weight than before? Something huge is waiting for you, because the answer came when they remembered one particular moment between you, one moment that seemed insignificant at the time but now means everything to them. That memory revealed what they had been missing. You never needed to perform to become unforgettable. There was something natural about the way you made them feel understood, something they could not easily recreate anywhere else. And now they are comparing that feeling with everything around them. Stay till the end, because this comparison surprised even them. Conversations that once distracted them suddenly feel incomplete. Attention from other people does not create the same emotional warmth. Even when they are busy, there are quiet seconds. When their thoughts return directly to you. They may remember something you said, the way you reacted to a difficult moment, or simply how comfortable they felt being themselves around you. And here comes the once-in-a-lifetime realization: they are beginning to understand that the strongest connections are not always the loudest ones. Sometimes the person who changes you most is the person whose importance becomes obvious only when you imagine them no longer being there. Don't skip. They imagined exactly that, and the thought affected them more deeply than they expected. Now everything they tried to keep controlled is rising to the surface. They are realizing that what they saw in you was not perfection, it was something far more powerful: authenticity. You did not need to become someone else to hold their attention. You simply became more fully yourself, and somehow that made them see everything differently. Something huge is waiting for you, because there is still one truth they have not confronted completely. The moment they recognized your strength, they also recognized something about themselves. They had been holding back feelings that were much deeper than they admitted. And now one question keeps returning to their mind: how much longer can they remain silent before the distance between you becomes something they can no longer change? Stay till the end, because what happens inside their heart next is the turning point. They are about to understand exactly why seeing this new side of you affected them so intensely, and the answer connects directly to a future they had secretly imagined but never had the courage to acknowledge. What they realized next was so powerful that every excuse they had been using suddenly stopped making sense. The person you love began asking themselves why your growth affected them this much, and the answer was not what they expected. It was not simply because you became more confident. It was because your confidence revealed something they had overlooked from the beginning: you were never asking them to complete you. You were choosing them while still being complete within yourself. Don't skip, because that difference changed everything in their mind. Suddenly, they remembered all the moments when you could have demanded more but chose patience, all the moments when you could have reacted emotionally but chose understanding, and all the times you quietly showed them that your feelings were genuine. Now those memories are returning with completely different meaning. They are beginning to recognize the value of what was standing in front of them all along. Something huge is waiting for you, because one particular realization has started repeating in their thoughts: this person may actually be the kind of connection I thought I would spend years searching for. And once that thought appeared, they could not simply make it disappear. But then something even more surprising happened: they started imagining you being appreciated by someone else. Not because anything has necessarily happened, but because your transformation made them realize other people could eventually notice the same qualities they had taken too long to understand. Stay till the end, because this became the moment their emotional walls started falling. They imagined someone else recognizing your loyalty, your kindness, your quiet confidence, and the way you make people feel understood. Suddenly, remaining silent no longer felt comfortable. Don't skip. They began replaying conversations and wondering whether you had already noticed their hidden feelings. They wondered if you could sense the moments when they wanted to say more but stopped themselves. And here comes the shocking part: they are starting to understand that the biggest obstacle between you was never the absence of emotion, it was the fear of admitting how important this connection had become. Something huge is waiting for you, because the moment they accepted that truth, another question entered their mind, and this one was impossible to escape: what if they stop waiting for me to figure this out? That question changed the entire story inside their heart. Now they are not simply thinking about what you mean to them, they are thinking about what they could lose by continuing to hide it. Your strength showed them that you are capable of moving forward, building happiness, and becoming even brighter whether someone recognizes your worth immediately or not. And strangely, that is exactly what made their feelings become clearer. Stay till the end, because the deepest revelation is still ahead. They are beginning to understand that they do not want your attention merely because it comforts them, they want your presence because something about you feels different from every ordinary connection they have known. Your energy challenges them to become more honest. Your silence makes them examine their own choices. Your growth makes them question why they waited so long, and now they are standing emotionally at a point they never expected to reach. Don't skip, because there is one final thing they noticed in you that could push everything into a completely new direction, and when they finally understand what it means, staying silent may become much harder than speaking the truth. Then came the moment they could no longer explain away. The person you love suddenly understood that the quality pulling them toward you was not something temporary, it was the peace they felt when they imagined being completely honest with you. Don't skip, because this realization went deeper than everything before it. They remembered how naturally you understood things they struggled to explain. They remembered the moments when your presence made complicated emotions feel simpler. And suddenly they asked themselves a question they had avoided for far too long: why am I holding back from someone who makes me feel like I can finally be myself? Something huge is waiting for you, because that question opened another door inside their heart. They began seeing your connection differently. What once seemed uncertain suddenly started looking valuable. What they once postponed suddenly felt important. And what they assumed would always remain available suddenly felt like something they should never take for granted. Your strength did not push them away, it showed them exactly what they could lose by refusing to acknowledge what was already growing inside them. But there is another layer they were not prepared for. Stay till the end, because they started remembering the smallest details about you, the things they never thought they had noticed. Your expressions when you become genuinely excited. The calm way you handle moments that would overwhelm other people. The way you can make someone feel heard without needing to dominate the conversation. Don't skip, because one memory suddenly became incredibly clear. There was a moment when you gave them kindness without knowing whether you would ever receive anything back. That memory changed the way they understood your heart. They realized your care had never been a performance. It was simply part of who you were. And now the shocking realization is settling in: they may have spent so much time protecting themselves from their own feelings that they almost failed to recognize something rare when it appeared. Something huge is waiting for you, because this realization is creating a new feeling inside them, not panic, not pressure, but clarity. They are beginning to see that waiting forever could mean watching a beautiful possibility quietly pass them by. And now their thoughts have moved beyond the past. For the first time, they are imagining what could happen if they stopped hiding behind uncertainty and simply allowed themselves to be honest. They imagine a conversation where nothing important remains unsaid. They imagine looking at you without pretending that you are merely another person in their life. Stay till the end, because the next revelation changes the entire direction of this story. The person you love has started recognizing that the thing they lost control over was not themselves, it was the carefully controlled distance they had maintained around their feelings. Your growth cracked that distance. Your authenticity made pretending harder. Your self-respect made your value impossible to overlook. Don't skip, because one question is now becoming louder than every excuse. What would happen if I finally told them? And the answer they are beginning to imagine is something they never expected, because deep inside, they already know exactly what they would want to say first, and suddenly, the words they had been holding back became impossible to silence inside their own mind. The person you love started imagining what they would say if you were standing directly in front of them with no distractions, no uncertainty, and no emotional walls between you. Don't skip, because the first thing they imagined saying was not some dramatic confession, it was something far more meaningful. I finally understand you. They finally understand that your quietness was never emptiness, your patience was never weakness, and your decision to protect your peace was never a sign that you stopped caring. It was growth. And seeing that growth changed the way they looked at everything. Something huge is waiting for you, because they also realized something about themselves. They had become so accustomed to controlling what they showed that they never noticed how deeply your presence had entered their thoughts. Now ordinary moments bring you back to their mind. A familiar phrase, a peaceful evening, a small memory, and suddenly there you are again. Stay till the end, because one particular thought keeps returning stronger than all the others. They wish they had recognized your importance sooner, but the story becomes even more surprising here. Instead of only remembering what has not happened yet, they pictured conversations you have never had, places you have never visited together, and simple moments where neither of you has to wonder what the other person truly feels. Don't skip, because this is where they discovered the part of you that affected them most. You make them imagine possibility. Not fantasy, not perfection, but the possibility of something honest and meaningful. And that realization caught them completely off guard. They had been looking at your connection through the lens of hesitation, but now they are beginning to look at it through the lens of potential. Something huge is waiting for you, because there is one detail about this imagined future that keeps appearing again and again. Whenever they picture themselves genuinely peaceful, somehow your presence fits naturally into that picture. They did not force that thought. They did not plan it. It simply appeared, and now they cannot easily forget it. This is where everything begins moving toward the revelation they have avoided the longest. Stay till the end, because the person you love is starting to understand that what they saw in you was not merely a new version of you, it was proof that you were becoming the kind of person who would never abandon yourself just to keep someone else close. And that changed their feelings more than any attempt to impress them ever could. Your independence made your affection feel more meaningful, because now they understand that if you choose someone, it is because your heart genuinely wants them there. Don't skip, because that realization has left them facing one enormous question: if they finally step forward, will you still see them the way you once did? They do not know the answer yet, and that uncertainty is making one truth impossible to ignore. Something huge is waiting for you, because the next thing they realize will explain why they have been thinking about you at the most unexpected moments, and why one specific memory of you refuses to leave their mind. Now that one specific memory is returning with a force they never expected, and it is revealing exactly why their feelings became so difficult to contain. Don't skip, because this was not some enormous event. It was a quiet moment when you were simply being yourself, no performance, no attempt to impress, no expectation of receiving anything in return. They remember the calmness in your energy, the sincerity in the way you responded, and something almost impossible to describe: around you, they did not feel like they had to pretend. Stay till the end, because that memory suddenly connected everything. They realized that while many people had noticed what they could offer, you somehow noticed who they were underneath everything else. That distinction hit them deeply. Something huge is waiting for you, because once they understood this, they started looking back at every time you quietly supported them, every moment you gave them space without disappearing emotionally, and every occasion when you understood what they were trying to say even when the right words were missing. And then came the thought that changed everything: what if I never find this exact feeling again? Suddenly, the connection they had treated carefully began feeling far more valuable than they had allowed themselves to admit, but the biggest surprise was still hidden underneath that question. The person you love began realizing that you have changed their idea of what a meaningful connection should feel like. Don't skip. They once believed the strongest feelings had to be loud, complicated, or constantly proven. But you showed them something completely different. You showed them that depth can feel peaceful. You showed them that care can exist without pressure. You showed them that someone can have a powerful heart and still maintain their dignity. And now they cannot unsee it. Stay till the end, because they started comparing the person they were before knowing you with the person they are becoming now. They are more aware of what matters. More aware of what they genuinely want. More aware of the conversations they should have had instead of postponing. Something huge is waiting for you, because this is where the once-in-a-lifetime realization arrived: perhaps you did not enter their life merely to become another memory. Perhaps this connection was meant to teach them what they should finally stop running from: their own truth. And that truth is getting louder. They are realizing that the part of you that made them lose control was your ability to remain warm without begging to be chosen, to remain genuine without proving yourself, and to keep growing even when you did not know what would happen next. Don't skip, because seeing that version of you created a thought they cannot easily escape anymore: if they keep waiting, your life will continue moving forward, and one day, they may have to wonder what could have happened if they had simply been honest. Something huge is waiting for you, because now their mind is moving toward a decision. Not a rushed decision, not something created by pressure, but an internal choice to stop pretending these feelings are insignificant. Stay till the end, because before they can make that choice completely, one final question is beginning to rise inside them: if I had only one opportunity to tell this person what I truly see in them, what would I say? And surprisingly, they already know the answer. It is not what you would expect, and once those words become clear inside their heart, the entire meaning of your connection could change. The answer finally became clear, and even they were surprised by how simple it was: you made me see what I was missing. Don't skip, because those words carry everything they have been unable to explain. The person you love is beginning to understand that you did not capture their attention by chasing it, you became unforgettable by showing them a kind of connection they could not easily replace. Your patience had strength behind it. Your kindness had boundaries. Your silence carried self-respect. And your ability to continue growing showed them that your life was never going to remain frozen while they decided what they wanted. Stay till the end, because this realization changed the way they remembered you. Suddenly, moments they once considered ordinary began feeling precious. They remembered times when you made them smile without trying, when one conversation with you stayed in their thoughts longer than expected, and when your presence somehow made everything feel lighter. Something huge is waiting for you, because one shocking question appeared after all those memories returned: how did I not recognize this sooner? And now they are discovering the answer. They were looking for something dramatic while the truly rare thing had been quietly revealing itself through consistency. Then another realization arrived, and this one reached even deeper. They recognized that what draws them toward you is not simply how you make them feel, it is who they become when they allow themselves to be genuine around you. Don't skip, because this is the detail that changed everything. Around certain people, they feel the need to impress, explain, or protect themselves. But when they think about you, they imagine something different: honesty without performance. Peace without pretending. A connection where silence does not automatically mean distance and vulnerability does not have to mean weakness. Stay till the end, because once they recognized that difference, they started questioning every emotional wall they had built. Why keep hiding something that has already become obvious inside their own heart? Why continue acting unaffected when your absence can change the entire feeling of their day? Something huge is waiting for you, because they are reaching a point where keeping everything unspoken feels harder than acknowledging it. And there is one thought they cannot escape anymore: perhaps the biggest risk is not expressing their feelings. Perhaps it is allowing something meaningful to disappear because they waited too long. Now the person you love is standing at the edge of the realization that could change the entire direction of this connection. They have stopped asking whether you matter and started asking what they are willing to do with that truth. Don't skip, because that difference is enormous. Feelings can remain hidden for a long time, but clarity changes everything. They are beginning to understand that your growth was never meant to convince them of your value, it simply made that value impossible for them to overlook anymore. Something huge is waiting for you, because there is still one final layer beneath everything they have discovered. Stay till the end, because they are about to confront the question they have avoided from the beginning: if every wall disappeared, every hesitation vanished, and they could speak without fear of being misunderstood, what would they actually want with you? And when they finally allow themselves to answer that question completely, the truth is far bigger than a simple "I miss you." They are beginning to picture something deeper, something lasting, something they once believed they were not ready to admit, and that revelation is about to bring everything full circle. Everything comes down to this moment, because the question they were afraid to answer has finally answered itself. The person you love is beginning to understand that they do not simply want another temporary conversation with you, they want the opportunity to know what this connection could become if both hearts stopped hiding behind uncertainty. Don't skip, because this is where the biggest revelation begins. When they imagine the walls disappearing, they see something unexpectedly peaceful. They see themselves telling you what they should have admitted much earlier: your presence became meaningful. Before they even realized it was happening. You entered their thoughts quietly. Your kindness became memorable, your strength became impossible to overlook. And then your growth revealed the one thing that finally broke through their emotional control: you were capable of walking forward without becoming cold, bitter, or dependent on their recognition. Stay till the end, because that is what changed everything. They realized your heart could care deeply while your soul continued moving forward, and suddenly they understood that someone like you could never be taken for granted forever. Something huge is waiting for you, because now they are not only remembering what you gave them emotionally, they are wondering what they could finally give back. And here is the revelation they never expected to face: they are no longer asking themselves whether their feelings are real. They are asking whether they have the courage to become honest about them. Don't skip, because those are two completely different questions. For a long time, uncertainty protected them. They could tell themselves there was more time, another opportunity, another perfect moment somewhere ahead. But seeing this stronger version of you changed that illusion. They recognized that life keeps moving, people keep growing, and meaningful connections deserve more than endless hesitation. Something huge is waiting for you, because the person you love is beginning to understand exactly what they saw in you that made their emotions impossible to dismiss. They saw someone they could respect as deeply as they could care for. They saw someone whose presence does not demand attention yet somehow remains unforgettable. They saw someone who could stand beside them rather than disappear inside them. Stay till the end, because when that realization settled into their heart, one sentence became clearer than anything else: if I ever speak, I need to speak honestly. No games. No confusing signals. No pretending that what they feel is smaller than it really is. And now the story has reached the point everything was leading toward. The person you love lost control after seeing this in you because they finally saw your true value without the distractions that had previously clouded their understanding. They saw your self-respect, your emotional strength, your genuine heart, your ability to love without abandoning yourself. Don't skip, because the final surprise is not that you somehow became worthy overnight. You always carried these qualities. The difference is that they are finally noticing them together, and that recognition changed their perspective completely. Stay till the end, because whatever happens next, one truth remains powerful: you never needed to chase recognition to become valuable. You never needed to shrink yourself to keep someone's attention. And you never needed to stop growing while waiting for another person to understand you. Something huge is waiting for you, not because someone else suddenly decides your worth, but because the version of you they finally noticed is the version that already knows it. And perhaps that is the greatest twist of all: while they were slowly discovering what makes you unforgettable, you were becoming strong enough to understand that the right connection will never require you to forget who you are. But just when it seemed like they had understood everything, one final realization appeared, and this one changed the meaning of every memory they had been replaying. Don't skip, because the person you love suddenly understood why seeing your strength affected them so intensely. They were witnessing you become the version of yourself they always sensed was there. The confidence. The calmness. The ability to protect your peace without closing your heart. And now something inside them keeps saying, this person is different. Stay till the end, because they started thinking about all the times they assumed there would always be another opportunity to speak honestly. Another day. Another conversation. Another perfect moment. But your growth reminded them that nothing meaningful should be endlessly postponed. Something huge is waiting for you, because this realization created a surprising shift. They stopped wondering how much you care about them and started wondering whether they have shown you clearly enough how much they care about you. That question exposed everything they had kept hidden beneath hesitation. And then came the thought they could not push away. They imagined you continuing forward, becoming happier, more confident, more fulfilled, and instead of wanting you to become smaller so they could feel secure, they realized they wanted to be someone capable of growing beside you. Don't skip, because that is the difference between simply wanting someone's attention and genuinely valuing who they are. They no longer want to be remembered as the person who remained uncertain while you kept evolving. They want to become